Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of Crop Tech Consults. Getting a lot of calls in now. The guys starting to get their planter set up or questions on planter setup as they're getting ready to head to the field. One area of planter setup is definitely closing wheels. And there are tons of closing wheels out there on the market, and it makes it a very daunting task to look at all these new products and old products out there and figure out which closing wheels are going to work best for you and your environment. When we look at closing wheels, we dial it down to two main things the closing wheels are doing. One, they have to close the seed trench, and two, they need to firm around the seed. And when you start to look at closing wheels out there on the market today, you can look at, are they doing more firming, are they doing more closing, or are they somewhere in between? And then look at your conditions. Do I need help firming around the seed? Do I need help closing the seed trench? When we're dealing with no-till conditions, the ground's already pretty firm. All we need to do is very carefully close that seed trench to not leave any air pockets, and the soil's already firm enough, we don't need a lot of firming action. If we're in conventional till though, all of a sudden closing the seed trench isn't all that hard. It's fairly easy, but we do need the firming action to create a nice, firm, even environment around that seed, around every seed, so we're germinating at the same time and we're making it to the surface. So when you look at these closing wheels, you can kind of determine, are they more of a closing or are they more of a firming? And then in your environment, if I'm in a conventional till environment, I'm probably more concerned about firming. So cast closing wheels, rubber closing wheels, ones that are going to easily push that trench back together but provide firming action around the seed are better. Spader type wheels or spike closing wheels aren't going to provide much firming action. They're going to aid in closing that trench, which you don't need help with in a conventional till environment. You may not need help with in some strip till environments, depending on how that strip is prepared, how mellow that strip is. And so you want to watch that, because doing tillage in conventional till basically with your closing wheels can cause problems with the seed. So here we have a video where we've run a spike closing wheel in a conventional till environment. We're not gaining anything from having a spiked wheel over, say, a cast or a rubber wheel, because we're not having trouble closing the slot, and essentially all that wheel is doing some closing. And this video is going to show you what happens below ground and what some of the risks are in running a setup like that.
So we have a rubber wheel and a spike wheel, and you can tell the side the rubber wheel's on. I have firmed this soil up over the seed where it's run, but on the side here where the spike is run, this soil is still pretty loose. This creates a potential problem in a soil like this, because this side of the seed can actually dry out, and I could misfire the seed. If it doesn't rain when we set the crown roots, I could have a rootless crowns on this side of that, and this side of that rootless situation on that side of the crown where the crowns wouldn't go down itself. And too much of this moisture is getting away on top. I haven't firmed it over that seed itself. We're running two spader wheels above the seed, and this environment up here has got a lot of air pockets in it, and it's starting to dry fast, a situation where I broke my waterfronts. So this is going to dry out in here, and I'm going to set myself up for the potential of rootless corn down the road. Now the question might be, why are we running spader wheels in the conventional till? And the answer might be, well, that's the way the planter came and we're not changing it. Or the other scenario is, I'm no-tilling soybeans, so I need this in no-till soybeans, and that's correct. It's pretty nice for no-tilling and closing the slot, but bringing spader wheels into conventional till brings a lot of risk. It has the potential to dry out. It's so loose, we get the wind howl and the temperature drawing, and a month later the root system, or 2 weeks later, the root system's trying to go down through here and they can't get themselves established. So a lot of our rootless corn problems that we faced in Illinois, it was definitely a bigger issue where I'm running one or both spader wheels and not firming enough behind it. So we try to put the brakes on for a lot of guys saying, whoa, 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 there's too much dry soil here. We got to firm it up. And if we can't firm it up with the closing wheels because there's so much dry soil, then I'm also going to suggest let's move some of that dry soil out of the way so we can firm the soil over the top of it to make sure this thing fires and we don't end up with a rootless corn.
Now that same setup may be exactly what you need in a no-till environment. where you don't necessarily have to do much of the firming and you're trying to crush and close that sidewall in and around the seat. So the spike closing wheel sets up very nice for a no-till environment, a firm environment that you're going to have problems getting it closed, but it doesn't provide any benefit in a conventional till environment, and it may even cause some harm depending on how the season progresses and how wet or dry I guess it is during planting season. So you want to kind of make those decisions. If you're running a strip till, you're going to want to take a look at your strip. Is your strip a nice mellow strip that's going to simulate more conventional till? And can I stay on that strip consistently throughout the field? Or is it a firmer strip that's going to have a harder time getting that slot closed, and I'm going to pick my closing wheels accordingly. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Remember to tune back in next week for the next edition of Crop Tech Consults.